Describe if the equation is a line or a parabola, then graph it. Remember, x to the second forms a u. If the x independent variable x somewhere in the equation is raised to the second power, it's a u. If there's no second power, it's a line. So y equals negative 1/3 x plus 6. There's no way that x is to the second power. Okay, so that's going to be a line, and then you're going to graph it. Okay, so domain range. Okay, and then a line doesn't really have a domain and range. You will not fill that out. Okay, so a line, get y by itself if it's not already, then mb, then slope y-intercept. Okay, so y is by itself. This is the m times x plus b. 6 is the b. So the slope is negative 1/3, and our y-intercept is positive 6. So this is the y-axis, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The line's going to cross the y-axis there. Then from there, we have negative 1/3. So it'd be down 1, 3 to the right. Down 1, 3 to the right. Okay, and there's my line, and of course lines, domain and range is unrestricted, so we just don't bother filling that out. Okay, either leave it blank or cross it out. Okay, next one. Y equals x plus 2, 2 times x plus 2 times x minus 6. Now, we have x to the second here because it's 2 factors of x, so that's going to make a parabola. Okay, so now we need 3 coordinates for that parabola. And it depends, this is AX, ABC, AHK, or APQ. Well, it looks to me like it's APQ, A being the 2, and then P being the other 2, then Q being the negative 6. So remember, this finds the zeros of the function first, okay? The x-intercepts. Okay, so the middle is my vertex point. And then I find the outer 2 x's first. I take opposite of P and opposite of Q. Okay, so the opposite of positive 2 is negative 2, and the opposite of negative 6 is positive 6. Now, negative 2 plus 2 would be 0, so then that would be 0, and this would be 0. You can put them into a calculator if you want, but that's always how that works. That's factored form. Factored forms finds the x-intercepts. So negative 2, 0, and then positive 6, 0. See, y is 0, so it's just across the x-axis. You don't move up and down with that. Now the vertex has to be in the middle of those 2 points, okay? So, remember how to find what's in the middle. You add and divide by 2. So we're going to take negative 2 plus 6, which is 4, and divide 4 by 2, and that's 2. Now I substitute 2 for x here and here. So I'd go 2, and then 2 plus 2, and then 2 minus 6. So that gives me negative 32. So the x-axis, that's fine if I go by ones, but the y-axis, we need to go by 5. So we're going to negative 32. So negative 2's, going by 2's wouldn't even be enough. Okay, so it'd be negative 32, 2 negative 32. Okay, and there's my parabola. Okay, so label your vertex, and that's 2 negative 32. So I do have a domain's all, okay, x can be anything. And the range, we take the y, remember range is all the possible values for y, okay? So we go negative 32, because that's where it cuts off. Now, 0 is greater than negative 32. So the other y's are greater than or equal to negative 32. See, negative 32, then all these other y's up that parabola would be higher. Okay. Next problem. 2x plus 4y equals 8. Now the x is not to the second power, so it's a line. Okay, so we know we don't have to worry about the domain and range. You can cross those out if it's a line. Okay, but it's a line. We have to get the y by itself. See, y here, you got 2x plus 4 times y okay, equals 8. So we have to get the y by itself. So we subtract 2x. Now I can't subtract it from 8, so I make a 0x and I subtract 2x there. So we have 4 times y. 0 minus 2 is negative 2x, and then we'd have plus 8. Now we divide everything by 4. So now y is by itself, so negative 2 divided by 4 is a decimal. You could reduce it to negative 1/2, but you can also leave it as negative 2/4, okay? Then 8 divided by 4 is 2. The line's going to look the same whether you reduce it or not. So MB, so the slope is negative 2/4 or negative 1/2, it doesn't matter. And the y-intercept's plus 2, okay? So XY. So positive 2, then we go down 2, forward 4. Okay, and if you went 1/2, negative 1/2, you'd be going in the same path, okay? So that is my line. Lines do not have, well, they have domain and ranges, but they're unrestricted, so it's pointless to even fill them out. Okay, y equals 5x to the second power minus 15x plus 2. Okay, again, x to the second, that's going to make a u. We know this. Okay, so now I go with my 3 coordinates to find the vertex in the middle. Okay, and this doesn't have parentheses, it's in ABC form. So ax to the second, bx, and then c, the constant. Okay, so we run the opposite of b divided by 2 times a. That is how you would find the vertex. Calculate the x vertex. Of course, finding the y, we plug it in. So the opposite of b would be positive 15, and then on bottom 2 times a, 2 times 5 is going to be 10. So then 15 divided by 10 is 1.5. So when I get my vertex to find the other coordinates, we're going to take 1.5 and we're going to add and subtract 1. So 1.5 plus 1 is 2.5. And then 1.5 minus 1, 0.5. Okay. So now we have to substitute those values for x. Okay. So put 2.5 in for the x's. So y now is equal to 5, and then 2.5 to the second. Whoops, I've got the wrong thing. Minus 15, then 2.5, and then plus 2. So I got negative 4.25. Now don't clear the calculator because now we just want 1.5. So I click up. Now we want 1. And now I'm at negative 9.25. That's okay. Okay. Now I want 0.5. That gives me now I'm back to negative 4.25. So I must have done this right if these two are matching. The vertex is correct. Okay, so xy, we'll just go by ones on each one. So 2.5, so 1, 2, and halfway. Now negative 4.25 is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, and then just past the 4. Not quite halfway, just a quarter of the way. 1.5, negative 9.25. So 1, 1.5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then you just go down there. Okay. Then 0.5, negative 4.25. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then part way. Okay, and there's my parabola. So please label your vertex. It'd be 1.5 and then negative 9.25. It's that middle one. This is x, this is y. Now again, the domain is all. Okay, now the range, we put the y with that middle, negative 9.25. And then these numbers here, these are bigger than negative 9.25. When I'm dealing with all negatives, the bigger the negative, the smaller it is. That means these are bigger than this, okay? So, negative 4.25 is bigger than negative 9.25, so it would be greater than or equal to. Okay, next problem. Negative 4 times the quantity x minus 3 to the second plus 3, okay? This is a parabola. So, vertex is needed. Okay, so this would be AHK. Okay, so the vertex is opposite of the H, and then positive 3. Then, because it says so right there, and then you add 3 plus or minus 1. So 3 plus 1 is 4, 3 minus 1 is 2. Now we substitute 4 in for x. That's 3. Wait a second, I didn't do that right. Okay. Got negative 1. Now, this is going to be my k value, and the reason why it is, I mean, you can put 3 in. There's a reason why that's always a k value, because if you take 3 minus 3, that's 0. 0 to the second 0, and negative 4 times 0 is 0, and that's why it always ends up as a k, because this value here makes the parentheses 0, times 0 by anything 0, and then to the second power 0, and then, so that's why it always ends up as the k. Now 2 in, and I should be back to negative 1. Okay, when we're there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, down 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Then 2, negative 1. Okay, please label your vertex 3, 3. Okay, so domain and range. Domain is all. In the range, you put y with 3. That's a possible range is y. And these numbers are less than 3, so now it's less than or equal to 3. 3 sits up there as the king, so it would eat 3. Okay. Y equals 4x minus 3. Okay, so this is a line. So domain and range is not needed. And I make sure the y is by itself, which it is, and then MB. So slope, y-intercept. So slope's 4 over 1, the y-intercept's negative 3. So 1, 2, 3. Then from there we're up 4, right 1. Okay, and there's no domain and range to that because it's not a parabola. Okay, now we're going to look at story problems. A missile is shot from a height of 200 feet with a velocity of 100 feet per second. Find the missile's maximum height. So anytime you're finding a maximum of anything, you're thinking opposite of b divided by 2 times a. Now maximum, you want to just draw a maximum parabola where you're finding the vertex. Okay. Then I need to find the x coordinate, and that's where I get the opposite of b divided by 2 times a. Okay, well, I need to have an equation now. Maximum height, okay, when you have this parabola, you're going to have an x to the second, an x, and a constant equals y. And y, up here above y, you're going to label whatever you're finding the maximum of, which in this case is height. Okay, now height. Gravity's changing the height, the force of gravity, okay? Gravity here, negative 16. Then the per goes right here. So the per is 150 feet per second. And then this constant is where you started at, which is 200 feet. Okay, so 200 is my constant. And now I easily have my a and my b. So the opposite of b is negative 150. And then 2 times negative 16, I got to multiply that to get negative 32. Then I take negative 150 divided by negative 32, and that's 4.69. Now that's the number of seconds this took to get to the maximum height. Okay. Now we put 4.69 in for the x's. Or you can just do it in the calculator, because this is our input to find the actual feet. We're putting feet in here to find the maximum height. Okay, I plug it in, and that will be equal to my y. So negative 16, 4.69 to the second, plus 150, 4.69, plus 200. And I got 538.06. That's your feet, maximum height. This is how many seconds it took the object to get to the maximum height. Okay. Next one. A surfboard sells 45 surfboards each month when it charges $500 for a surfboard. For each $20 decrease in price, the store sells 5 more surfboards each month. Find the maximum revenue for the store. Okay, maximum. Again, we know that that's opposite of B divided by 2 times A, but this one we got to work a little bit to get the equation. Okay. So this is the vertex. You are finding the vertex of the equation you're about to write. So the x will be the opposite of B divided by 2 times A. Okay, now you're going to have the x second, the x, and the constant equals y. But y, okay, y is your revenue. That's not maximum height. Now we need a couple parentheses here to get to my revenue. Okay, so to know how to fill that out correctly, I would make a table with money and items. Okay, it's money times items your revenue. So money, items. Now the money starts at 500 and it goes with 45 items, surfboards, but you can just put items. Then for each $20 decrease in price, 5 more surfboards are sold each month. So decrease of $20 means minus 20, and then this would be plus 5. So 500 minus 20 is 480, and then 45 plus 5 is 50. Then 460, and then 55. Now that keeps going on, okay? Because you see, you don't need to write this down, but if you take 500 times 45, they made $22,500. Now if they charge 480 times 50, 24,000. Well, that's bigger than what you started. Then 460 times 55. Well, that's bigger than 24,000. So I don't know where they're going to maximize their revenue. So start your money with 500, start your items with 45. Then you're subtracting 20 over and over, so 20x. And then you're adding 5 over and over. Now to get from here to here, you have to execute the FOIL method. Okay? So you distribute 500 to 45, 500 to 5x. Then negative 20x to 45, and then negative 20x to 5x. If you don't write down negative 20x, it's good night, okay? You're going to get a screwed up answer. 45 and then 5x. Okay, 500 times 45. 22,500. Constant. Then we'll write x down because we don't know the x, so it's 500 times 5, so it's 2,500x. Then x, negative 20 times 45 is negative 900x. Then x second, negative 20 times 5 is negative 100. Okay, so negative 100 is my x to the second, that's A. Then we combine the x's, 2,500 plus negative 900, that's 1,600. Then the constant's 22,500. Okay, so BC. So the opposite of B is negative 1,600. Then 2 times negative 100 is going to be negative 200. Then I divide these and I get 8. Now that stands for 8 changes of price. Okay, so that's 1. So from here to here is 1, 2. That'd go down 8 more rows before you found the maximum. Okay, so now I substitute 8 in for my x's to find my y, because y is the maximum revenue. Negative 100 times 8 to the second plus 1,600 times 8 plus 22,500 equals y. And I just plug it in. I mean, the input's 8. You got to find the output. $28,900. And that is your maximum revenue.